and welcome to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. In this podcast, we discuss mystical works of literature and how they relate to recovery. We hope you enjoy today's podcast episode.
Hello, this is Buddy C. Welcome to the Tao of Understanding Recovery Podcast. Today we have Brian and Drew and Lou and Oscar. Good to have you guys. If you're new to the podcast, we talk about how mostly Taoist philosophy, not Taoist religion, applies to our recovery. When I first read the Tao Te Ching, which is most people see as the primary book of Taoist thought, it just resonated so much with my Christian walk, with what I heard in AA, the higher power, all those things. And it just complemented those things. It didn't contradict. So we find a lot of truth in Taoist thought, and that's mostly what we talk about. We've gone through the Tao Te Ching. We have benefit I want to talk about real quick is all of the back episodes of the podcast. We have 368 episodes on file. At doing one a week, that puts us at 7 years of podcasting. So that's a lot of podcasts. You can go to the podcast page, which I'll make sure the actual page itself is in the link in the notes. It's actually taorecovery.libsyn.com. And you can search at the top for content within those podcasts out of the written notes and titles and those things. So a lot of good information there for you and several interviews with different, I think I've interviewed most of the folks that come on the podcast. I've interviewed some authors. I've interviewed some podcasters. I think a lot of good content there that you can benefit from. So that's our benefit for today. We also talk about one of those synchronistic moments that we all experience at times. And Taoist thought is all about letting go so that you can stand on what is already moving. Much about letting go what has died so you can embrace the new birth that's coming, that kind of a thing. So we try every week to talk about a synchronistic moment that one of us has had. And Lou's going to share one with us today. Lou?
Several months ago, for some reason, I was sitting around reading. My wife was in the room with me, and I happened to be thinking about a guy I used to work with named Rick. And as I was thinking about Rick, I was thinking, oh, that's an interesting story. So I told my wife how Rick had been injured in a football game, in a college football game, and became a paraplegic. Actually, I guess he was a quadriplegic now that I think about it. And then fast forward 20 years, and I find I'm working with Rick in a professional relationship, and find out that another one of our colleagues, Jim, was on the field the same day that Rick was injured. So here's 20 some years later, these guys bump into each other at work and say, oh yeah, I was on that football field. I was on the other team. And I thought, that's an interesting story. So I was telling Dixie, my wife, the next day we go down to our granddaughter's volleyball tournament, and it's getting late, and we go out to eat. And as we're coming in the door, who do I see going out the door in his wheelchair but Rick? It was like a double coincidence. I was thinking about him, and I told the story to my wife about him. And then the very next day, and I hadn't seen him for probably more like 16, 18 years, because we were both retired. And since then, we connect more frequently on Facebook. But the thought of him just came out of the blue, talking about the situation. And the very next day, after 18 years or so, I ran into him for the first time. I thought that was interesting. And it renewed the other part of that is it renewed our conversations with one another. And it was on more of a spiritual kind of a basis that we never would have talked about at work.
You reminded me of a very similar one I had. My wife and I had gone to a Mediterranean restaurant down in Marietta, or which is a good ways from here, down around Metro Atlanta. And I mentioned to her a guy I used to work with. Gosh, it was 15. Gosh, I left in 96. So this was 2012, 13, 14 years later, something of 15, something of that range, 15, 16. And I hadn't seen this guy, and I was talking about, because he was from Syria, and we were talking about the food and all of that. And I went to open the door, and there he was. I hadn't seen him since the job. I said, Anwar, what are you doing here? What, I eat here all the time. But he was going on and on. I was like, why would that kind of thing happen? I don't understand that, Lou. I don't. And like your thing, it's like you were warming up to meet him.
Yeah. And I don't know why it happens either, but it's interesting that it happens.
Yeah.
Frequently, it happens.
I've quit trying
and the
to
more
figure
we're
that
tuned
out.
to it, the more it happens.
Yeah. I've quit trying to figure that out, Lou. I just
Yeah, there you go.
go on. That's all we can do. Okay, our story today is The Kingly Man, page 72, out of Thomas Merton. Oh, I got a question for you, Lou, before we go on. Your wife's name is Dixie, and y'all are Northerners? What is that?
Her name is Dixie Lee.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool. Is she from the South, or her family from the South?
No, she's from, yeah, she's south of the Muskegon River.
Not
Yeah,
the
we're from the middle part of Michigan. Her dad's name is Dick. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but
Thank you, Lou. I just thought that was odd. I said, Dixie in Michigan?
I tell her that it's from the Latin for dictum, for telling, because she tells me a thing once in a while.
Thank you, Lou. All right, The Kingly Man. Drew, you going to read for us, sir?
Sure. My master said, that which acts on all and meddles in none is heaven. The kingly man realizes this, hides it in his heart, grows boundless, wide-minded, draws all to himself. And so he lets the gold lie hidden in the mountain, leaves the pearl lying in the deep. Goods and possessions are no gain in his eyes. He stays far from wealth and honor. Long life is no ground for joy, nor early death for sorrow. Success is not for him to be proud of. Failure is no shame. Had he all the world's power, he would not hold it as his own. If he conquered everything, he would not take it to himself. His glory is in knowing that all things come together in one, and life and death are equal.
Thank you, Drew. The first line there, that which acts on all and meddles in none is heaven, or you could say is the Tao. So it acts on all, the Tao acts on all, and it doesn't contrive or try to control, judge. And the kingly man is not necessarily a king. It's just one that has the awareness of the Tao, the spiritual awareness that I could say we're all seeking, but it's really more of it's what we already have. We're just, for me, I seem to already have all of this. I'm just not aware of it. I have not awoken to it yet. That's coming in degrees. It's how it seems to be for me. One day I know something I didn't know the day before. It's as if I knew it the whole time. It's like I remember something. That's how the spiritual awareness seems to be. And this is the results. You can say the kingly man or the sage. He realizes that this is how the Tao works. It acts on all and doesn't meddle, doesn't control, contrive, judge. And he hides this in his heart. He hides this principle in his heart. So he starts knowing this principle. He grows boundless. Man realizes, hides in his heart, grows boundless, wide-minded, and draws all to himself. I thought at first that meant in a selfish way, like holding it all. I think it means something different. So as a result of knowing how spirituality works and knowing the Tao, he lets gold lie hidden in the mountain. He leaves pearls lying in the deep. Goods and possessions are no gain in his eyes. Doesn't say he doesn't have goods and possessions. He says he doesn't see them as a gain. In other words, I think he doesn't place more value on those things as what's really there. Brian?
Buddy, it sounds like to me he's working a step 3,
Sure does.
surrendering his will, accepting what is. Man, I like this part right here, and I know this is a little ahead, but it says success is not for him to be proud of, and failure is no shame. I think that'd be a great tattoo. I don't have any ink. I need something. I need something like that as a daily reminder.
Success doesn't mean he's not successful, nor does it mean he doesn't fail.
That's it. Sounds like to me he's content with what is and realizes that it's bigger than him.
I can see that. This is from the second verse of the Tao Te Ching. This is a Derek Lin translation. They succeed but do not dwell on success. It is because they do not dwell on success that it never goes away. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. Another way I've heard that put, she completes her work, then lets it go. In letting it go, it makes it stay. Oscar?
The first thing I wrote down was unity. So I think in a way it's about unity, about one. He ends also with all things come together in one. So in one there is no opposites. So then success and failure is one thing, and proud and shame is one thing. So it's the Tai Chi, the yin and yang, but it's as one thing. So it's not going from one to another. You're not going from, like me, I'm going from proud to shame and and I move up and down in everything actually. But the kingly man just is in unity. So God is everything or it's nothing. So you're part of everything, then there are no opposites. This morning I had a conversation in a meeting about God is everything or nothing. And I always thought God is everything and there is Oscar. So you have actually two things. So God, it's everything, and Oscar, who is trying to make the best out of his life. But when you're actually part of everything, then Oscar vanishes or it evaporates. It's nothing will be left. So it's just a part of everything, and there's no separation in that. So this is a very spiritual laws of nature, I think. So I think you can live in this everything on a spiritual level, but then I have to forget or I have to stop thinking that I'm a body and a person and with a story and a life. And that's how I read the last line. Life and death are equal. So it's one thing. There's no separation between life and death. There's no separation. There's no separation at all. So there's only one. So it's a kind of non-dualism, right? Non-dualism. And that I find in our fellowships, in unity. When we talk about unity, I also tend to think, okay, I am in the fellowship of CA, so there's unity in CA, but then you also have the fellowship of AA, and there's unity too. But how can there be unity in two parts? So there must be a deeper way of thinking about this unity, and that is, I think, in God is everything or nothing. And there is where the ultimate unity, we can find the ultimate unity, and then when we boil that down, there will be only God, or only love, or only consciousness, or only Tao. So it's, I read it as a kind of invitation to explore non-dualism.
That's why he's content for the gold to be in the mountain instead of in his treasure chest, because it's all one.
It's the same.
Yeah. Could it be that we're all part of this ever-present moment? Snapshot, the moment. We're all part of that. I'm not part of it and you're not. We're all, everything is.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
So
kind of the way
also-
I look at that unity.
Yeah, so also in this physical world, there is definitely unity because everything is happening at the same moment. So it's both in spiritual level as in a worldly level.
It's kind of like it's kind of like Oscar. Okay, let's say I saw a car accident happen and I pulled someone from the burning car or whatever. Okay. And they wanted to give me an award. And I got up and said, I really can't take this award, but I'll take it for my back. My back was real helpful my back was strong. I was able to pull the people out. So my back thanks you. No, that's so crazy. It's my whole body. Or let's thank my kneecap, not me, because but what that's ridiculous, right? But when we segregate the moment, we're doing the very same thing. When we judge and we divide, we're doing the exact same thing. That's good. Thank you. He stays far from wealth and honor. Long life is no ground for joy, nor early death for sorrow. He's describing all is as it is, right? Success is not for him to be proud of. Failure is no shame because there's no difference. Everyone just has this moment. That's all they have. Nothing more, nothing less. He had all the world's power. I guess if he had all the world's power, he would not hold it as his own, like it was his and his only. If he conquered everything, he would not take it to himself. His glory is in, now this is what he does take glory in, not those other things. This is what he values. This next statement, the last statement that Oscar's already talked about, it says, his glory is in what? In knowing that all things come together in one, and life and death are equal. His value is in knowing. His value is in being present. His value is in his awareness, like the 12th step talks about, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. It's one of many paths to spiritual awakening, and one of many paths to recovery for that matter. Just before the steps in the big book, it says our steps are suggestive only, meant to be suggestive only. But I heard it put like, if you're going to jump out of an airplane, it's suggested you have a parachute. It's that kind of suggestion is what, And I saw people in AA that had what I wanted, so I did what they did. Oscar?
There, I also read in the complete verse some kind of priority he definitely has. So he turns away from greed, from power, actually, maybe. I try this one. From prestige, money, and what's the English? You have this in the traditions. Prestige, money. Oh, wait. I have to look it down. In the English version, it says problems of money, property, and authority may easily divert us from our primary spiritual aim. Actually, that's what it says. The whole verse is actually this tradition. Tradition 6. So you're going to get into trouble when you go after gold, when you go after power, when you want to be proud, or you're afraid to be ashamed. You are fearful to lose your life. You sorrow if you are sick. You are joyful when you get 10 more years to live. So it's all, I need to have it. I need to gain. I need more. And that we all leave alone because when I speak for myself, I set up, when I came into recovery and I read this 12th step, there will be spiritual awakening after doing this. Okay, so that's the goal. And then I read this preamble where also talks about my goal. My goal is staying sober and helping other people with this, reaching the same freedom. I don't know the English. So there is a spiritual awakening, which is the priority of my life now. And actually, when you boil that down, I'm talking about inner peace. So inner peace is the only thing that counts in my life, and nothing else really matters. And as soon as I leave, as other things start to matter, then I lose my inner peace. So that's why I leave the gold in the mountains, and I try to stay away from this pride and shame, and I don't lose myself in it because I lose my inner peace. And the inner peace is my priority. So we have a tradition here, a tradition and a third step, which Brian said.
Thanks, Oscar. Lou?
When I look at this, and hearing what Oscar says, that in talking about the letting go of, in this case of the kingly man, he acts in a certain way, and at some point he realizes that he is at one. He's had the awakening, and these things are the result of it. I also wonder if there's some kernel of truth in the idea that moving away from the things that he talks about, possessions, success, not getting wrapped up in those, might, besides being the fruits of some awakening, might help lead to awakening. So I'm wondering if it's not really a chicken and the egg, but if there's some pathway there that kind of sneaks up from behind. I don't know how to say it because I don't know how to think about it.
Repeat that for me, Lou.
I think what I'm seeing here, maybe in the shadows, is that there's certainly those who are awakened, those who are living in the Tao have let go of those things. My question is, does letting go of those things bring you to the Tao as well? Not just the fruits of the Tao, but a possible pathway. So if you give up having success be important, if you give up intentionally, give up having possessions have such an important part, if that might lead you to the awakening, the same way the awakening lets those things go away.
Yeah, kind of. But for me, I can't decide to do those things and do it. I realize I'm behaving differently than I used to behave. Drew?
Yeah, that question reminds me of Buddy's famous phrase of acting your way into right thinking. I do think that when you start doing those actions that Lou talked about, I do think that brings you closer to the Tao. And conversely, getting your mind in the right mindset does help you do those things. I think they're both one and the same, the right hand, the left hand. So, yeah, I think you can start acting, and by those actions, bring yourself closer. I can start volunteering. I can start being kind to people. I can start giving away possessions instead of holding on to them. And I think that those kinds of actions help open me up to the Tao, open me up to living my life more in peace, more calmly, more serenely, less scattered. Yeah, no, I do think that focusing on your actions, it can definitely bring you there.
Thanks, Drew. I remember hearing that phrase, acting your way into right thinking. Was it Chuck C. A New Pair of Glasses, I think? Heard that very early in recovery. Yeah, it says here that he placed value on one thing that I see here, and that's in knowing. So my question is, how do we move toward knowing? Because he says his glory is in knowing that all things come together in one, and as a result, life and death are equal.
I think that's what my meditation and mindfulness practice really help with.
Me too, Drew. Yeah. It's all the things we do are I would think all the things we do collectively for our spirituality, be working the steps. It would be my daily spiritual practices, which are always evolving. It started out with a quick prayer, my resentment list, my folks I resent, my sponsor had. I'd pray for them every morning. It was a pretty long list in the beginning when I was working the steps through, and daily reflections or some reading. Tops 10 minutes. Very absolute most time I would spend on spirituality was about 10 minutes. Nothing wrong with that. That was exactly at the time that worked. But as time went on, I saw that change. I saw meditation become a big part. I saw that I needed more time, and time was there. And I'm open to how that time changes for me. And as a result, that intuitive knowing increases. And ultimately, knowing that all of this is one. There's no one to be angry at, there's no one to judge. Is that messing with your marbles, Brian? I see you. I see it spinning.
Oh, yeah, it's spinning all right. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking there's no when is Brian going to get his?
Yeah.
His doesn't exist. Or maybe Brian is already getting his. Maybe so.
Maybe it's all Brian's and he doesn't know it.
That's it. Yeah.
Or maybe
Yeah.
none of it's Brian's and he doesn't know it. But in that
There
case,
you go. There you go. Holy cow. Keep going. I feel like I'm going to owe you a copay.
I'll give you my PayPal if you need it.
Yeah.
And for me, all of this is a result of what Drew said, starting to take compassionate action. I by no means can just make a decision and go clear out my bank account. I'm not going to do something like that. But you know what? I can take the second best parking place at Walmart. I can do that. That's how it started. It starts in little things for me. Then before long, I realize I'm doing it in bigger things and don't even realize I'm doing it. It's not a struggle at times. At times it is when I'm thinking of myself and what, the separations that I can perceive. I've gotten flat angry at times when it was not to my benefit to be angry. It put myself in danger because I could not control my anger about anything because it was me against them. Oscar?
Yeah, for me, a huge one in this was to back off on parties with my big mouth. So I always had these opinions and really had to show myself off to impress people around me. And when I discovered this, okay, I can back off. I can just, and it's really an action just to lean a bit back and listen to people and let them have their party. I'm a part of the party, so I'm in there, but people don't have to remember me after the party. So I can be there in more silent, less opinionated, less judgmental, less trying to be smart, but just oh. And that was really an action I took, and the result was amazing. It got away so much stress which I didn't know even existed. So I didn't even know that I was stressed about this. And then I discovered, okay, this is this is a spiritual path of action where I slowly but gradually let my ego go. I let it go in my inventory. I let it go in step 5, where I share all the bullshit I did and all the character defects. Then I let it go in 6 and 7, actively in meditation. And I leave the mess I made behind me by apologizing and making amends. And there was such a freedom in when I arrived at steps 10 and 11. and 12. And now it's just okay, keep it this way and grow into this. Just grow into it, gradually letting go of this ego. So when I do good acts, I really have to be careful that my ego isn't doing the good acts, because then I want something back. Then I want a reward of admiration or whatever.
Oscar, many times I don't realize I'm taking that action from self until I see those expectations.
Yeah,
And I go, oh shit, I'm doing that. I'm expecting something from this. Oh,
there we go again. There we go again.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Overt, overt contract.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All these reactions we're talking about, if you're talking about judging, when you judge something or when I judge something, I'm the one that gets angry. I'm the one that's day is spoiled. If there's no real action, if there's not a justified action to take, if that's the case, I can actually make a value judgment without all of the other stuff I attach to it. Where this comes in, that's an issue for me, is all the ways I try to compare and make myself better than or less than. For me, it's better than majority of the time. It's not less than. But either one's the same. It's separating me. Now, I've said this before. I used to negotiate a lot of contracts. If I could get on the side of the person I'm negotiating with, that's my goal. Okay, let's figure out how we can work this out together. Then it gets worked out. If it's me against them, man, it's difficult. But if I can get on their side, figure out what they really need, and if I'm able to meet that need, whatever it is, then we can work something out. First, I've got to lower my guard to actually understand what's going on in their head. And if that can be bridged, then there's a possibility. There's a lot of this story in that process. There's only one side, there's not two. Not to say, please don't send me the emails, that you should be a pushover or let people take advantage of you or any of those. That's not what we're saying. If there's a situation, then you deal with the situation. But the majority of the time, what we're talking about is not those situations. It's the day in and day out things, the situations that we all face in life, not the big dramatic things it's the little things. It's always, for me, it's these little things. Those are the ones that steal my peace and joy. A lot of times, those are the ones I get the angriest about. I don't even realize it, and I'm angry. I'm like, why am I angry right now? Drew?
Yeah, there's a little Buddhist teaching that has been really helpful for me, which is recognizing other people's happiness and suffering as not distinct from my own happiness and suffering. So being happy for other people who are happy, being compassionate and empathetic towards people who are experiencing suffering. Like you were saying, that happens a lot in just the littlest moments. One example I can think of is if I'm waiting in a long line in a supermarket and a register opens up and somebody else who's waiting in a long line immediately goes to that register, and I'm all ticked off because here I am waiting and that person just got to go to the front of a new line. The fact that somebody else is checking out quicker than they otherwise would have been, that makes me upset. That makes me angry. That's insane. They're happy that they just got to go to the front of a new line, and I can be happy for them. I can see them smiling, and I can smile too. And the converse of that would be me being happy that somebody else just got their come up and lost a job or something negative happened to them, and I'm happy that something negative happened to them. You know, that's unhealthy, really, no matter what the situation. If I see that somebody went through something that I know that is likely causing them some distress. Not gloating about it, not being happy about it, not being self-righteous about it, but offering some compassion towards them and just letting it go. That puts me in a way healthier position emotionally and mentally and spiritually than practicing some Schadenfreude.
It's kind of like, for me, what I'm hearing from all this conversation, the problems for me is it's an inside job. So if I'm looking outward and I'm judging, exerting force, I'm looking in the wrong direction, because I think that's going to make me feel better. When we know that the outside action is not going to make me feel better, only the inside action to resolve that inwardly will. So why do I think something outward is going to do anything about it? It's not.
I can think of one specific thing that I've tried to put into practice. This kind of way of living is with political elections. If an election doesn't go the way that I wanted it to, trying to remember that millions and millions of people are happy with the result of the election. I'm not, but the millions and millions of people are. I can be happy for their happiness. That's tough to put into practice, but I have been trying.
Thank you, Drew. The outside action that I have to take for me is that acting my way into right thinking. So if I see myself getting angry at someone about something, what compassionate action can I take toward them? Can I just back off? That's a compassionate action. Can I ask that they have a good day? Can I pray good things for them? Those are things I can do in a split second. There are inward actions I take that correct me inwardly. That the change really does start with me. And that's what happened with this kingly man, right? The kingly man saw the world differently. Other people would see things one way, and he said that he saw everything as coming together in one. He saw what he perceived that he saw outwardly was different than what other people saw. And that's what we're experiencing in recovery. If you resent someone, why in the world do you want to pray for them? You go bust their kneecaps. You don't pray for them. Pray they resist more, maybe. That's so twisted. But that never, anytime I've taken any kind of action of any forceful kind, thinking that's going to make me feel better, never makes me feel better. Brian?
I was just sitting here thinking my message I tell myself in my head is I perceive that I've somehow been wronged. And my first thought is I'm going to teach that SOB a lesson. And it has never worked out. And I'm doing it in my head.
From what he's saying here, Brian, it's impossible to be wronged.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, this is another synchronicity moment, because this is what I've needed. Man, this is what I've needed past couple weeks.
This is a process too, Brian. This is an awakening.
Oh yeah.
Not a one day, oh yeah, everything's one, so I'm not going to do. No, that doesn't work that way. It didn't for me.
No, I understand it. But I've got this anvil that I still pick up. And there's times that I've got it sat down and I'm not carrying it around, but there is times that I continue to pick it up, throw it up on my shoulder and just lug it around. And I just continue to pick it up. Not as often as I used to, but it's still there.
Maybe with time, dust will just grow on that anvil.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Try once again.
That's it.
So I always go back to this. Okay, I lost myself. I need a correction, and I forgive.
Mm-hmm.
And I can try once again to see, okay, we are one.
Yeah.
And I try to live anonymous in a unity as good as I can. And of course, it goes with, I slip all the time.
Yeah. All it takes is that willingness.
It's beautiful to come back. It's beautiful to come back. And the correction is already a miracle.
Absolutely.
I sometimes just laugh at myself. Why in the world am I upset about? And I used to do the opposite. I hate you. You're blah, 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 just to myself, all that. I do the opposite now. Good conversation today, guys. Anything else before we close? You guys have a great day.
Yes.
Hope to see you next week. Thank you.
Hello, this is Buddy C. I wanted to make you aware of several recovery-related resources that I've posted in the episode description. These resources include a list of recovery podcasts, a free sober meditation app, daily recovery email, shared Google recovery calendars. Hope you put some of these resources to use and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends in recovery.